I cannot tell a lie. I wish I was still in Israel. Nothing against any of you. Actually, what brings me comfort being home is being here with you this morning. I don't know if it's really cold in here today, but when shaking hands as we processed with the Torah, I felt not just the physical warmth of this community, but the spiritual warmth of this community as well. I was also happy to be back to see two of my children who did not make this journey with us. But I returned from Israel on Sunday, where I had the privilege, the honor of watching my middle daughter, Eliana, compete in the International Maccabiah Games as a member of the United States 17U girls basketball team. Yeah. For those that don't know, the Maccabiah Games, the Maccabiah, often is called the Jewish Olympics, takes place in Israel every 4 years, bringing together thousands of Jewish athletes from around the world to celebrate Jewish identity, community, and our connection to Israel. Given everything Israel has endured over the past 3 years, there were many moments when it wasn't even clear that the games would take place this summer, and yet they did. And in many ways, the Maccabiah became a reflection of Israel itself. Cafes were full. Families filled the beaches. Thousands gathered for the opening ceremonies at Teddy Stadium, the official soccer stadium in Jerusalem, to cheer on athletes from around the world, from over 60 different countries. The feeling of joy, the feeling of pride in that stadium was so palpable as the American delegation, the second largest delegation only to Israel, over 960 athletes, marched into the stadium with pride. The stadium erupted with cheer, only rivaled by the delegations from South America, from Brazil and Argentina. If you know people from Brazil and Argentina, you can imagine how loud the stadium got. And then it got even louder as the one delegate from Iceland entered. But that was a sign. All we need is one to show up, and everyone there is there for them, to cheer them on as they marched with pride. And then finally, the largest delegation, over 1,800 athletes from Israel. The decibel level was maddening. I could have used some earplugs. As all the delegates were in their place, the entire stadium rose and we sang together the words of Hatikva. The hope. The hope that after 2,000 years, our dream to be a free people in our homeland, our dream continues. Our dream continues. The remarkable thing about this moment was, again, that it was a reflection really of the Israeli people, the determination of our people to keep living, to celebrate, to gather, to build, to hope, remained even stronger, and it remains as strong as ever. And yet beneath all of that was a heaviness. After nearly 3 years of war, our people, exhausted, the trauma of October 7th and everything that has followed still lingers. With no end in sight, there is frustration And there is division. And when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, many have simply stopped believing that anything can ever change. Sometimes it's hard to see beyond the present moment, but our tradition, Judaism, has never allowed us to give up on the future. We are a people, as I said, a people of hope, a people of vision. This Shabbat is called Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat of vision. It takes its name from the opening words, which Jay read for us just a little bit. Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amos, the vision of Isaiah the prophet. How remarkable. How truly remarkable that our tradition gives us the language of vision on the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av. The Shabbat before we prepare to mourn the destruction of the temples in Jerusalem. Isaiah does not ignore a broken society. He sees corruption, he sees injustice and moral failure, but even while warning of destruction, he proclaims, learn to do good, seek justice, and then, Tzion b'mishpat tipadeh, Zion shall be redeemed through justice. That is Jewish vision. Not pretending everything is fine, but looking honestly at a broken world while believing it can still be repaired. Recently, Tal Becker of the Shalom Hartman Institute reflected on a verse from the book of Psalms from Tehillim, Bakesh Shalom Verodfehu, seek peace and pursue it, says the book of Psalms. Becker notes something profound. The verse does not say seek peace and achieve it. It says seek peace and pursue it. There are no guarantees. None of us controls all of the conditions necessary for peace, but perhaps instead of asking how do we solve everything, we should ask a different question. How do we make things a little better? How do we create a little more trust, a little more dignity, a little more hope? The Mishnah teaches from Avot, you are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. While in Israel, I met a remarkable man named Gadi from Ashkelon. He runs an innovation lab at the Technological Torah Yeshiva. It's a Chabad, some would say Haredi Yeshiva, whose students largely go on to serve in the IDF. His team of students creates projects that only benefit society. They refurbish broken wheelchairs for wounded soldiers. And after October 7th, they received shattered trees from the area of the Nova Music Festival near the Re'im Forest. Wood from a place that had witnessed unimaginable tragedy. They could have only seen destruction, but instead they asked, what can this become? They transformed the wood into mezuzot. Wood that had become a witness to tragedy now marks the doorposts of Jewish homes. Something born of devastation became a symbol of faith. This feels profoundly Jewish. We do not erase our scars, we remember, and then we build. Growing up at Camp Ramah, every Tisha B'Av, we sat on the floor, we fasted, we read the book of Eicha, of Lamentations, but eventually, midday on Tisha B'Av, we stood up. Yes, the destruction was still real. The grief had not disappeared, but Judaism insists that mourning is not the end of our story. In many ways, it has remained October 7th for far too long. We, of course, must never forget that day nor the dangers Israel still faces, but we also cannot allow tragedy to rob us of our ability to imagine what comes next, to imagine a better place, a better world. I saw what that looks like just last week. My daughter's coach, Karen, she had dreamed for years of coaching at the Maccabiah. After recently surviving cancer, she was finally there. The Maccabiah was canceled last year, and it was almost canceled again this year. The night before the team's first game, she gathered the players with the parents who were there. We gathered in a park, and she addressed all of us. She addressed her players. And she said, no matter what happens on the basketball court, you've already won. Last summer, the games were canceled because of the war. This summer, they were almost canceled again. Many people chose not to come, but you girls came anyway. You showed up. You represented the Jewish people with courage and pride. The tournament did not end the way that the team had hoped, but Karen was right. The victory wasn't being there. It was in showing up. Perhaps that is what Bakesh Shalom Verodfeu, seek peace and pursue it, asks of us. We cannot control the final score of any game. We may not know how the story will end, but we can stay in the game. We can keep showing up, because showing up is an act of hope. It's a way of saying that the future is still worth believing in, that we have not given up on one another. So I offer us all a simple challenge today. If you are able to, if you can go to Israel. Israel needs us. Yes, Israel needs our advocacy here in America, but it also needs our presence. Eat in restaurants, walk the streets, volunteer, visit communities, rebuilding their lives. Listen to Israelis tell their stories. Try and show up. Because sometimes the most powerful words we can say are, Hineni, I'm here. You're not alone. We are with you. The state of Israel, as we know, began as what some believed was an impossible vision. For 2,000 years, Jews imagined returning home. But that vision became a reality. And now we need a vision not only for the Israel that exists, but for the Israel yet to be. An Israel that is secure and strong, an Israel whose people can disagree without tearing one another apart, an Israel committed not only to survival, but to the moral aspirations of a Jewish state. Isaiah stood on the brink of destruction and still spoke of redemption. Our tradition does not ask us to know how the story ends. It asks us to decide what role we will play in writing the next chapter. On this Shabbat, Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat of vision, may we have the courage to look at shattered wood and imagine a mezuzah, to rise from mourning, to show up for one another, and for our brothers and sisters in Israel. to pursue peace even when peace feels distant, to see the world as it is, and to still imagine what might it yet become. Shabbat Shalom.